Welcome to the Success Revenue Podcast, the only podcast in the Middle East that brings you leaders in customer success, account management, sales, and go-to-market to share ideas, perspectives, and valuable learnings on how to successfully drive revenue, delight customers, and take it to the next level.
We are your hosts. I'm Hadar Al-Sad, CEO of RevSetter, the modern customer management platform. I have my lovely co-host with me, Al Ferrero, CS Executive Advisor and Keynote Speaker. And we're excited to bring you a long list of amazing guests to the podcast this first season. Today's guest is someone that we are very excited to talk to. He has long decades of experience in customer services, customer success, retention, growth across many enterprise companies that he's worked for. And he's had also an opportunity to lead teams across many different regions in EMEA and APAC, and of course with a big focus on the Middle East. A few of the takeaways they will get from this conversation will include how the Middle East compares to other regions like APAC and Europe and globally as well in terms of driving customer success and customer experience. We'll also lean into customer experience management. How does that transformation journey happen for companies that are focusing on better customer experience for their customers through technology, through experience, and through processes that they lead? And last but not least, we'll get into how you can think about advancing not just your role in customer success, your team and your strategies, but also your career and moving towards VP level and above positions. And what are some of the best things that you can think about in doing so? So Ivy, I'm so excited because today's conversation, we're speaking to someone that has broad global experience, but he's rooted in the Middle East and he's from the region, spent a lot of time outside of it, and is now back leading a great team across 3 or 4 global regions. So we're going to really dive into a lot of really interesting topics and conversations. What do you feel about today's guest? I know we've talked about this offline, that we're excited about it.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. He has a lot of experience, and I've been communicating with him for the past 2 months, and he travels so much that I feel
Yes.
I feel very honored that he was able to carve out some time to speak to us. But I think one of the things that is very interesting about his background is that his company does really well. And not only have they been able to dominate the market in the US, but they've also been able to replicate some sort of strategy in the Middle East. So I'm super excited to be able to pick his brain regarding what should businesses do if they're looking to try to break in the Middle East, like what should be that mindset. And so yeah, I'm so eager to pick his brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny actually. I'm very familiar with his current company. Back in my early Melbourne days, I was leading some of the North American global customer success teams and whatnot. It was very much in the same domain and space as his company existed. So I've known about them since they were a company that was 2-3 years, they're I think 15 years in now. So I've known about them for a long time. So it's a kind of a funny happenstance that we're very familiar with that industry. But speaking of travel, Ivy, I'm going to Riyadh next week for a bunch of meetings, all that good stuff for a few days. I'm doing a CS event as well, where I'm speaking, which will be interesting, hosted by Jizr HR, a big HR company, HR tech company in Saudi. And one of the things I was going to thinking about was this week, Leap is going on in Riyadh. Leap, obviously, for those listening to the podcast, I'm sure knows is a massive event for technology and go-to-market and professionals within the space. And there's a lot of people next week. Some I'm meeting with, some we're planning to meet, but where they're like, after Leap, we need to take vacation for like a week or two because it's so busy for them this week. So I'm kind of curious to see the vibes next week. If there are a lot of people that are kind of off or traveling as kind of just a response to just being tired after Leap. So I'll have to let you know next week when I speak how that whole thing goes. But I'm excited about the trip and joining that event. Will be,
Yeah.
I'm sure, some interesting
Hey,
conversations
is this
happening.
your second time in Ria?
This will be my third or fourth time. So I've
Wow.
been there once before for an event where I was a speaker, and like this time, and then I think once or twice to meet customers and partners and whatnot in Riyadh. So it's kind of almost been now a monthly thing since the last 3 4 months. I've had to kind of go at least once a month for something coming up. Because it's just so it's really buzzing over in Riyadh and in Saudi when it comes to tech and CS and kind of that whole community is really growing, and it's pretty cool to see.
Okay, exciting. Well, in this same topic, Hader, I have a question. So I actually haven't had the opportunity to go to Riyadh just yet. I'm looking forward to the day I do so. But one of the
Yes.
questions that I've been battling is how important do you think it is to know Arabic to be able to conduct business in Saudi? Because
Hmm. Yeah.
I've gotten both responses. Some people say that no, it's not important. Everybody speaks English. And then some people said that you'll conduct better business if you do speak the language. But you speak Arabic.
Yeah.
So what have you
I do
seen?
speak Arabic. Yeah, I do speak Arabic. But interesting enough, most of the business I've been doing has been in English because I'm more used to doing business in English, whereas Arabic is kind of, I speak with my parents and I speak it, but haven't done really business in it over my career as much. So I do mostly in English there. But I think it's interesting. You can definitely do business. I mean, I see a ton of folks when I travel there on the airplanes and there that are, Westerners or English speaking, let's say, and that go there to do business, meet with customers, potential customers, whatnot. So you can definitely do it, but it's definitely helpful to know Arabic. It gives you a little bit of a kind of a little bit of an edge in doing so, I believe. And what I always kind of my observation has been in Dubai or in the UAE when I meet, a new connection, whether that's a customer, potential customer, what have you, partner, the the kind of initial greeting or the initial kind of natural response is to speak in English. Whereas in Riyadh, it's kind of to start with Arabic and then you kind of figure out, okay, we'll speak English in this conversation. So it is definitely more Arabic there than it is here in the UAE, I would say. But you can definitely do business in both. So yeah, we'll have to get you out there maybe for the next event, whatever that comes up. We'll get you out there as well as a speaker and sharing all of your brilliant knowledge. I know they'll definitely soak that in over there.
Yeah, I love that. Alrighty. Well, shall we bring in our guest for today?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited.
All
You
right.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, everyone. We are so excited to welcome Sam Mohamed to today's podcast. Sam, very excited to have you on today. Sam is a VP of Customer Success for the EMEA and APAC regions at Sprinklr, where he's been for several years and held multiple global and direct and VP level positions. Sam also brings tremendous experience from the services and customer success space, dating over a decade from companies like Business Card and TT Data and HP and beyond, and has really focused on not just services and customer success, but also initiatives around growth and retention. And so, Sam, we're so excited to have you on the podcast today. I know it's going to be a great conversation. We can dig into a lot of aspects around customer success and adjacent topics as well. So welcome to the podcast. It's great having you on.
Thank you, Haider, and I'd be pleasure to be here. It's a good opportunity for like-minded individuals to have a conversation, and appreciate the introduction.
Absolutely. We're excited, Sam. And as I was prepping for this conversation with you, there's again so many different topics that we probably want to touch on and get your perspective on. But why don't we kind of start off, really easily here with kind of tell us your background, right? Tell the audience kind of some of the things that you've worked on and where you are today, and just kind of the background to start off with, and then we'll jump into a few things from there.
Sure, why not? I was actually born here and raised with my early childhood in Dubai. So the fact that I'm back in Dubai is very, endearing. And then, as my early childhood, I moved across, lived in a few different companies, eventually ended up in Australia, where I spent the last 2.5 decades. We got an opportunity to move back to Dubai, and we snapped on it. And now I've been here back for about 10 years. It's fascinating, exciting to see how Dubai's developed. For my career profile, I think I've kind of been typically always in a frontline sort of customer facing role. Working with the likes of HP, NTT, Business Bid, and now with Sprinklr. Across services, sales, but predominantly in the operations and customer success now, or historically, as we used to call them, the service delivery or the client servicing aspect. So, it has been an interesting journey, as life kind of puts those motions in play, but quite happy to be here where I am today, working for Sprinklr, and also enjoying the beautiful weather in Dubai. So,
That's amazing. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like it's almost rare to meet people in Dubai that are from Dubai and grown up here and been here. I feel I meet a lot more expats than locals, generally speaking. So it's always great at the times where I do meet people that have grown up here and kind of really get entangled into the culture and get a good feel for the city as well. So that's awesome that you have that, and then you got the international experience, and now you're back. It's amazing. And Sam, you were kind of speaking about a little bit your journey across some of these really great companies. And today you're at Sprinklr. You and I were talking offline. I'm very familiar with Sprinklr. I've been in the space myself back in the day with Meltwater. But why don't you tell us about your journey into Sprinklr? You've been there for, I think, 5+ years now, and had a really nice journey also within the company. Speak to us a little about that, kind of how you got to where you are specifically today.
Sure, absolutely. I think, well, as a matter of fact, you say, Haider, I actually completed my 5 years just about 10 days ago. So
There
I'm
you
well,
go. Congrats. Yeah.
thank you. Well and truly into my 6th year. But look, I joined Sprinkler about, for over 5 years ago. At that time we were still a private company. Being a part of an organization which goes through an IPO was truly a fairy tale experience, right? I mean, only a small percentage of companies make it through to an IPO and a public list stage, but that's still not the destination, right? What we do for our customers every day, how we help brands, improve their current standing in terms of their objectives, is what drives people like me and every other Sprinkler, right? As you said, you worked for Meltwater before, but again, just to give a quick introduction and not the whole sales pitch about,
Yeah.
what we
What
could
is
do.
it?
Sprinkler is essentially a customer experience management platform, right? We help businesses manage and improve their interactions with their customers, whether it's across social, digital, voice channels. Essentially, a unified front office omnichannel platform, bringing all the digital edges of communication together, right? Powered by AI, constant machine learning, we're able to provide those insights, optimize the engagement, and personalize these interactions between the brands and their customers, right? Historically, if you see the evolution, you know, companies used to be very brand centric, right? What's the image? What do people think? And the shift happened towards, hey, let's move towards the customer centric. Let's start focusing on the customer spectrum. But as you layer down and peel down, it's essentially about the experience management of the customer. So essentially, the CXM space is where we drive value to our customers to enable businesses a pretty seamless, data-driven experience across the multiple touch points.
Amazing, Sam. And just to piggyback on all of the experience that you've had here in the Middle East, obviously you were born here, then you left, then you've been back. So you've seen the Middle East has gone through some sort of like evolution. When it comes down to your domain specifically, how have you seen these evolving in the Middle East region?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think, as someone was born and raised and spent their early childhood, it's always fascinating to see that journey. Of course, for a majority of the, 20 odd years I was away, but then, Dubai in the Middle East has always been of interest to the rest of the world, right? And if you look at it now, the digital transformation, right? Firstly, I think the vision setting by the stakeholders of Dubai, whether it's the government or the businesses and the brands involved, had a very strong vision alignment. And then there was an appetite, right? The appetite wanting to drive that digital infrastructure across our ecosystem, whether that's businesses or even our, common consumer services, whether it's the shopping experience or visa renewals or any other federal buying a house. I mean, you look at, the Dubai airport. I mean, it's literally become a paperless engagement, right? So the appetite, the vision setting and the appetite for that intake has definitely contributed. And you also see a lot of government and federal backed initiatives, right? Smart cities. You've got initiatives across the healthcare, other government funding available or mandates available, which, whether it's, just not Dubai. If you look at now Saudi 2030, that's backed and powered by a truly transformational experience, right? So other parts of Middle East, look at Doha, Qatar. There are pockets within every region which are driving this. And then what we've also got to realize is the customer expectation has shifted. Um, you know, when was the last time, you and I went to a post office or a bank, right? And as the younger generations are kind of sort of, taking on the world, they've developed a certain sort of, expectation of how they want to communicate, how they want to respond, and what their expectations are. We live in a world of instant gratification. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but people want to communicate on their preferred channel and they want real time, unified um, experience management, not in silos. So these are, I think, the major contributors. I think there's a lot more rise and a lot more change, which we're going to see again with the evolution and the impact of AI and automation across multiple domains. So I'm very bullish and positive and excited, both as a professional who works in the industry and someone who lives and operates as a resident in the Middle East.
I love your mindset. Sam, one of the things I think what the top message that I get on LinkedIn all the time is from companies who are in the US and they're looking at Dubai, they're looking at Saudi, thinking, we want to be there, right? Because here's where the money is at. So I know you work for a company that has you constantly traveling to the US. When it comes down to penetrating the Middle East region, what would you say has made your company so successful in doing that? And how have you guys navigated? Is it cultural nuances or is it just having a presence here? Like, what basically would you tell a company that is in the US? They're already big, they're successful, and they're trying to penetrate the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, and you're right. I mean, especially now or of late recent, everyone wants to get a slice of the slice of the slice, right? Because everyone thinks, geez, the cake's bigger on this side of the world, and to a certain extent, truly so, right? I mean, certain policies, whether it's across visa regulations or the empowerment to be a mobile sort of operator in terms of freelancing, consultation, and the relaxation of the administrative load has made it quite lucrative and easy for businesses to sort of kind of come to this side of the world and sort of operate and say, hey, look, there's a market here, right? So that's sort of enabled and provisioned the path, right? On the other side, where people think it's quite, hey, look, I just got to rock up there and it's going to happen. Look, and I think it's everyone's a dreamer, and we've got a dreamer mindset. but it's a little bit more than that. Look, in terms of the expectations, I don't think that's any different, right? Any organization or company looking to spend on technology or any services are still looking for two or three or all of these three things. They want to increase their revenue and their sales. They want to drive optimization and efficiency and productivity. They want to maintain brand management through compliance, risk mitigation, and governance, right? So none of these are compromised. So along with these, there are nuances, certain drivers, and key objectives, right? So that alignment doesn't come easy. Penetration, of course, and I think, um, with, I believe now, living in Dubai and other parts of Middle East, I do travel to other parts of Middle East. I think people have now picked up that pace and momentum as well, right? Historically, if you look at it, it was nothing, when I'm citing back to almost 35 years ago when my dad was working here, there it was like all right, it'll happen when it'll happen. But we're one world now. I mean, with technology, you're talking to any given person from Bangalore to Budapest to Boston at any given time. There are enough tools and technology to be connected. Certain markets never sleep, financial markets, governance, health, so I think the pace has picked up as a natural evolution in the region. So people are more accepting. So, for the people and the organization who have a clear path, have a structure in place in terms of marketing, the go-to-market strategy, the TAM identified, and have a serviceability focus, which is, being responsive, being available, having an honest conversation with the customer and truly delivering value. I think there are some great opportunities.
Amazing, Sam. That's some really good insights.
Definitely. I think when you break it down really well in terms of different kind of pre-entry, post-entry, kind of different considerations to think about as you're looking at the Middle East market. And, what, you really kind of piggybacking on one of the things that you mentioned, right, is the kind of the government involvement and investment in areas like customer experience and extension customer success and beyond in the region. It's really a kind of significant difference between the East region and North America or Europe even, where there's a little more government involvement in general. But I think that's an aspect that is kind of underrated. And I think you couple that with the hunger and companies really growing and expanding their proactive approach to working with customers and revenue and driving the business versus where it was maybe 15, 20 years ago, even where it was maybe 5 years ago. I think that's kind of coming together as a really nice moment of development and a leap forward within the Middle East region. So I think that's a really good observation that you're mentioning there, Sam. And, kind of on that topic as well, right? Like looking at someone like yourself, you work with, the EMEA region, so Europe, Middle East, Africa, you work with the APAC region, so Asia, Australia, New Zealand. And you've kind of been exposed to different regions where there's a lot of cultural differences. There's also some similarities and whatnot. If you look at it from the prism of customer success, right, your domain, what are some of the kind of key differences that you're seeing from the Middle East versus some of these other regions? And maybe what are some of the things that you think companies in the Middle East try to be really good at customer success and customer experience can learn from somehow these other regions are doing it or have been doing it for a little bit longer, right? What are some of those things that you think can help companies here?
Yeah. Fair question. I mean, I think, having had the opportunity to work in different markets sort of, helps you understand the expectations a little bit better, the market conditions and the nuances, right? But look, as an overarching, I do want to state that, look, most companies and organizations, the common themes in terms of what they're looking for is pretty similar, right? Whether it's, whether there's a company looking to purchase a capability or technology, what they're looking for something which is fit for use and fit for purpose. at a commercially viable opportunity cost and the targeted outcomes which are quantifiable and qualitative, right? So none of these as a core changes. But if you talk about from a personal experience and what I've learned and seen, in having worked for almost 18, 20 years in Australia, I found out that, the workforce community over there has a strong focus on a customer self-service. In some areas, the maturity index of self-empowerment, and this is backed by tools and processes and framework, is a bit more streamlined, and they tend to prioritize the efficiency uh, and self-driven capabilities a lot more. Now, in contrast, in the Middle East, and as I'm sure you'd agree, there's a greater emphasis on the personalized, high-touch, one-to-one, building strong face-to-face relationships. Right? I mean, that's kind of changing over trends, but if we had the time and the opportunity, people would love to sit down on a cup of coffee or, over shisha or one of these dinners. And you do know Ramadan's coming over here in the Middle East. That's a great opportunity to network over a social environment as well. And that's how historically people have kind of interacted and grown and developed, right? But having said that, with the digital adoption, which is going on rapidly, a lot of businesses and its stakeholders and end users have really warmed up, and the uptake is at probably one of the highest levels. Right now, the key challenge comes across where we kind of improvise and sort of streamline that automation, the human interaction, and the personalization, right? And for people who are in technology, this is a constant challenge, is to evolve and be better than what you were, 3 months ago, and the predictability of what customers expect, right? So those are the fundamental distinctions which I see.
Yeah, it is for sure. I was kind of half laughing in my head when you're talking about the differences of kind of doing business here versus in other places. And, someone that's worked globally and done sales, the kind of the sales funnel here is kind of starts with the coffee
Yeah,
meeting. And, from there you start building out some of that trust and relationship before you get to the whole, okay, let's talk business. Let's, look at a product or a demo, what have you. Whereas, back in the US or Europe, it's like, all right, let's start with the business and the demo and all these different things. But I was kind of just laughing because, yeah, as someone like Ivy as well, that's been in Dubai at least for a short amount of time, right? About 6 months for myself, Ivy plus 1 year. It's you kind of adjust the way that you're doing business and the way that you're kind of setting up your go-to-market motion or customer success motion to be more aligned with that relationship building aspect of it as well. But you're seeing, so kind of to further that point that you're making, but you're seeing that digital aspect, implementing software technology to kind of start elevating the customer success work. You're seeing more and more of that in the Middle East region, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I should be using this example, but hey, look, you've got the ability to get fuel delivered to your house, right? And don't get me wrong, I love a nice drive to the gas station, pick up the newspaper and the coffee myself. But to sort of automate that process, schedule it to the point you like, and at the same cost. And these little things, when we're already leading busy lives in a place like Dubai, sort of helps uplift the living experience or the consumer experience as well. I know it's probably not the most relevant example, but
It makes sense for sure.
Yeah,
yeah.
Wow. Amazing, Sam. I wanted to go back to talking about digital transformation. And of course, with all the experience that you've had, you work with enterprise clients like HP, NTT Data, and now with Sprinklr. I wanted to ask you, how has the definition of customer success has evolved over time in your career, particularly in the context of digital transformation?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the more common asked questions, right? I mean, people often tend to sort of say, "Hey, how's this evolved?" or what's happening in this space, right? So, I mean, look, I think historically, if you look at it, customer success is probably a relatively newer term in the industry. Let's, probably 13, 14, 15 years before it's kind of mainstream. But, and again, as I said earlier, people were called, service managers or service delivery managers or client services manager. One of the key and fundamental differences I see in the evolution has been turning that from a reactive to a more proactive role, right? So customers now, based on their requirements, have a need to be informed, updated in real time, right? And there's so many dependencies which do not allow for silos to come in. Again, and this is where, certain roles and such as, the customer success org plays a critical role, right? I mean, you're seen as the custodian of your customer. You're that one point of customer sort of contact, a trusted advisor, a sort of a go-to person, right? And this is spreading across the entire life cycle journey, right? Specifically, previously, I think a lot of the success or service related sort of outcomes were based on specific activities or tasks. Now, customers, tend to have a long lasting relationship, or they have a full customer life cycle journey, because innovation drives growth, customer environments and ecosystems change as well. So the success role plays a pivotal role in the evolution of the customer journey, full customer lifecycle journey as well, which is, essentially starting from, helping them understand what the technology does for them, empowerment, training, enablement, constant innovation, the roadmap to technology, understanding their use cases and ensuring the success metrics are delivered both from a quantitative and qualitative aspect as well. So there's a strong reliance of this customer success role within the industry. We're always constantly going to see change because the customer demands and the industry and the technology is always going to keep changing. It's dynamic. So as the customer maturity and demands change and evolve, our role has to evolve as well. So so it's been a good journey. Got to learn we get to learn a lot, especially firefighting, the challenges. But when you're sitting there having a coffee or a beer with the customer, having helped them achieve their targets or their objective, that's what's rewarding at the end of the day.
No, I love that. I think that's the number one thing that makes me obsessed is knowing that at the end of the day you're gonna be able to get the customer to where they're trying to go. And yeah, that for me is a massive win. And Sam, tell me a little bit more about Sprinklr. I know you've mentioned that you guys have advanced AI in the customer experience management platform. I wanted to ask you, how have you seen enterprises in growth markets approach AI adoption in customer experience, and what are some of the challenges and opportunities that you've encountered, if you can recall any?
Yeah, look, I think it's interesting because every customer and every industry is different, right? For example, if you've got customers in the airline industry, their objectives, the technology they use cases with someone in retail or FMCG versus a federal sort of public sector, their use cases are different. But where you see the commonality again is, with the advent of AI and automation, the access to data, whether it's structured, unstructured, solicited, unsolicited, the ability to streamline this data and sort of map it to the, cutting out the noise, or what we say, the garbage out, and those specific real-time engagement, right? Again, what AI has also allowed us is to pioneer some predictability, trends, what's happening across the world in real time. So if you look at risk management or governance, AI helps you sort of map and benchmark certain incidents and prevention management. Now, this is very critical. For example, within the let's say federal sector, and the public and the healthcare, and that's a strong aspect. The ability to provide powerful, relevant, meaningful data which the customers can take and drive actionable insights. Right, from a customer servicing perspective, like I said, someone probably wants to contact through WhatsApp. I could be an email guy. I could be a phone call guy. I could leave a message, or Facebook messaging, Twitter, Insta, name it, like social digital messaging platforms. Now, it's not seen as an isolated piece of conversation, right? It's now bundled together as a unified conversation, whether it's an inbound query or whether it's an outbound response, whether it's a marketing response, or whether it's a campaign or a complaint. So the bringing those digital edges together and sort of binding them and stitching them as one seamless, frictionless journey is probably immaculate, right? I mean, you know, if you're able to resolve something in one interaction as a consumer, that's what you want, right? I mean, and then that's what brands want. When you talk about retention, market growth, you want to maintain your customer base. You want to create an image and a path to gain more traction to attract new customers, right? So these pockets of AI investments across R&D, the way you manage customers, predictability, and being proactive, sort of are sort of essentially someone like a Sprinklr does for its customers.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think when you look at that aspect of it, how you go from that AI piece of it, but also all the way through the customer servicing of those customers. A lot of it comes down to really good data, really good process, really good output, and kind of the old adage in the space that you're in and the space that I've been in this, sometimes garbage in, garbage out, right? If you have bad data coming in or incomplete data, that's really hard to get the right type of insights that you're looking for. And with the wrong insights or maybe incomplete insights, it's hard to take the right type of action, right? And whether using AI or technology or manually doing some of these things, that has to come together. Otherwise, you're kind of left with either a bad picture or an incomplete picture, which in both cases is not a good thing, all right? So I think that's an interesting piece that you bring up there, but also an interesting challenge that you've been helping in terms of solving across many of these companies that you worked for over the years and led teams with them. So I think that's really a fascinating piece of it. And how did Sam? How does that translate? Because as you're thinking about these different things, right, holistically, I'm thinking about kind of how the different challenges that comes up with working with different segments of customers, right? And I believe at Sprinklr, you guys had some of that kind of breadth of customers from SMB to mid-market to enterprise. You started to work with some other companies that have the same types of structure, main enterprise, but also other customer segments. And you're a VP customer success, running these different teams across different regions. But how do you kind of adapt your strategies to the different types of segments? Because they go through their transformational journey in different ways. They have different types of needs of technology or implementation strategy. If you're an SMB kind of or a growth stage company versus an enterprise behemoth, those are two very different kind of scopes of works that you're thinking about and working towards. How do you align the strategies across the board there?
Yeah. No, I think, Heather, I think the process of understanding the customer begins way early on in the journey, right? I mean, often people think, hang on, customers purchase a solution, let's now go build a fort, right? But if you look at it, I think the people involved, especially in the early discovery phase, I think the journey begins there, right? Because you want to hear your customer. You want to completely understand what they're looking for. And that phase is so critical for what comes ahead and what we're going to plan, build, and sort of deliver ahead, right? So it's important for anyone in its early stage to sort of get a full understanding of what the customer is looking for, position and sort of get the customer involved in that solution building, or what we call the design thinking stage, right? Because as much as you can get it right in its early stage, it sort of creates a much better path moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Then when you speak about the diverse sector of customers, or the personas of customers, and whether they're large enterprise or SMB, mid-market, commercial. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to mirror and match the customer and help them sort of onboard and sort of partner there with their journey. But then if you look at the early stage customers, right, especially in the SMB or the smaller segments, there has to be a huge focus on building the foundational knowledge and capabilities, and offering a hands-on support early on, right, to ensure their empowerment and maturity index rises. Whether it's through the use of tools, resources, assets, or even setting learning programs and sort of learning sessions for them. Of course, for the more mature, sophisticated clients, they've got the capabilities in terms of manpower, resources, or investments, which enable them to a wider sort of pool of the play area, right? But regardless of that, I mean, they're still looking at optimization, because they're looking at growth at scale, probably efficiency at scale, driving automation at scale. So, those are the key sort of, for the early stage and the sophisticated. But then, the other sort of drivers are like, any other local market nuances, conditions, policies, to which help them achieve their long-term goals and values.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's really kind of you're using the same type of strategy, right? But you're putting in different pieces and parts within those. Resources for SMB might be more, learning centers and resource libraries and group sessions, whereas resource for an enterprise customer might be actual manpower and professional services team and so on and so forth. So I think that makes a lot of sense. That's great, Sam. And we're going to jump in here to kind of our last segment. But I was kind of just curious. I have one more question before we do that. You just given your experience, if you could, as a lot of the people that will look to into this episode will be leaders in customer success and revenue across the region. If you could give one or two pieces of advice in terms of setting up and driving really a successful customer success team and program, what is kind of the one or two things that you would recommend for leaders to think about, implement, or do?
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, I'm sure there's so many successful frameworks and mantras out there, right? I can obviously speak from my experience, and look, I think, if you've got a product which definitely has a defining sort of solution, then I think you attach the people around it, right? So you've got a great product, you've got great people working on it. That's critical, right? Because one without the other is probably a disconnect, right? And then, of course, you've got the playbook, right? So I believe in the 3 Ps, which is your product, your people, and the playbook, right? And each of them, and each sort of, if you look at these 3 pillars, they have the ability to learn and be better, right? You're constantly looking at the market, you're fine-tuning your product, you're probably making it less complex, easy integrations, the uptime, availability. So you want a world-class product which fits into most environments, has less technical deficiencies, easily deployable, and and rich in usage. The people behind that product, whether it's right from the people who are working in R&D, or your success teams, or your managed services, or your salespeople, they're again a defining pillar because they bring it to life, right? I mean, you've got the project manager and the project team sort of building these configurations and your workstations and your work sort of modules. And then you got the playbook, which is essentially, again, a live document, right? Within the playbook, your run models, your success templates, your transformation sort of journey mapping, your product roadmap. So every customer, whilst there might be a general broad framework, you've still got to personalize, meet where the customer is at, and again, your people and your playbook sort of help drive that journey for you with the customer. So I believe in the 3 Ps.
I
Nice.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Sam, I actually have one more question before we go
Sure.
to the rapid fire. I'm really impressed by your background and really impressed by the career trajectory that you've had. What would you say was the number one thing that helped you in your career to climb up? If somebody were to be listening to us right now and they are getting started, let's say they're 26, 27, they've already got some experience. If somebody wanted to become a VP and have the same career trajectory as you, what would be the biggest piece of advice that you would give them?
Cool. All right. I don't know if I've got the recipe to for someone to become a VP, but I believe there's certain things you can do where I think your growth, both career and what you take away from that, right? Because at the end of the day, you work so many hours, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of contribution also matters, right? But look, for me, I believe in that 100% guy or girl, right? It doesn't matter if you fail trying. It's okay, because failure is not in our control. Sometimes things don't work in our favor, right? But as long as you're giving 100%, you're dependable, you're a team player, and you're fully vested, right? And the more you're the 100% profile or the persona, you're going to get better at it, right? There's a saying, I think, hopefully I get it right. I think it was Bruce Lee. I think he said, I fear not the man who knows 10,000 kicks, but I fear the man who knows one kick, who's practiced one kick 10,000 times, right? So it's about that precision. If you choose a field, and it doesn't matter whether you're in success or whether you're in sales, if you focus on bettering yourself, always better, never the best. So if you're better than yesterday, you've made progress, right? So for me, dependability. For me, people who can be trusted. Those 100% people will always, in the end, have a much more greater positive impact, both for the organization you work for and the customers vouching you that, hey, that's my 100% guy. That's who I want to work with. And I think the evolution and the growth in your career trajectory falls into place, right? So, yeah. So that's I'm a big believer in that.
I love that.
That's awesome. Great advice. Great advice indeed. Amazing, Sam. So we're actually coming with this. Time's kind of flown by through this episode. I think we covered so many really interesting things, and now we're at kind of what we usually like to wrap up with, which is our rapid fire questions here. So we'll ask you a couple of quick questions, get quick answers on them, rapid fire, and that will kind of take us towards the end of this conversation. So yeah, if you're ready, Sam, I'm gonna kick us off, and then I'm just gonna take the lead to wrap us up here.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Amazing. All right, perfect. So my first question to you is, what's your favorite type of content to consume right now, or do you have maybe a recommendation, favorite book, podcast, etc.?
Well, lately I've been reading something. Sorry, I've been tuning into something called. There's this podcast it's hosted by Guy Raz. It's for leadership and growth, but focusing specifically on new businesses, how new businesses or entrepreneurs went through their journey, right? Amazing. And it even talks about the pitfalls, the do's and the don'ts, just doesn't focus on the success. some iconic companies like Airbnb, Starbucks, some of their stories, and especially the pain, because a lot of us just love to see the shiny part of it and say, wow. But, the pain and the sacrifice behind it, sometimes is often masked. So, that's something which I've plugged into off late. So that's exciting.
Very nice. Yeah, that's a great podcast and a very, very good recommendation. Nice. Awesome. Next one for you, Sam, is favorite people or person to follow, take inspiration from, any one or ones that you would want to recommend?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I think there's a lot of icons in the field of sport and sort of business. And I think from a personal, my favorite athlete is Roger Federer, for two reasons. Essentially, the discipline which he bought, not only to make a name for himself, but how he practiced and then sort of made it the number one. Because you could have talent, but without discipline, the talent goes wasted, right? And number two, humility. The guy's just, he's so humble, the way he lives and the way he is raising his children and the community he comes from. I mean, these two attributes in one of the legendary icons are very rare to find. So, on the business side, again, there's so many people, but I'm super fascinated by Mark Randolph, one of the founders of Netflix, right? And one of his favorite things was, if you don't disrupt the market, someone else will disrupt it for you, but it might be too late. So, I mean, change, the ability to sort of, manage change and power through that. I mean, it's a great story. If anyone wants to sort of read through the blockbuster versus Netflix, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's definitely a case study in all marketing and business books out there today. I feel like that one comes up a lot with Mark and Netflix. And yeah, Roger Federer, that's my go-to in the tennis world. I know there's always debate about the big three and who's the greatest of them, but for me, it's Federer. All the things that you mentioned, but also his game was the most beautiful to watch. I just love watching him play, especially his runs in the Wimbledon were always great. Perfect. All right. So last one I have for you, Sam, is what's your favorite prediction for 2025? To pick one thing high level, what would that be?
I don't know. I mean, wish I could predict the Powerball numbers for the. If I could pick that, I think that would be awesome, right? But look, I think my prediction for, especially from where I'm sitting at and in the space I am, there's a lot of noise about AI, right? And now it's in a way become a tagline as well, right? I think at some point there will be a distinction of what that true value AI is versus just finding it on the box of your cereal or your cornflakes, like AI cornflakes as well, right? So I think people will start warming up to a true definition of what's that value AI I really need versus I don't. So I think we'll start seeing that a lot, right? Where customers are going to smarten up and not just be taken aback by, okay, that's AI driven, AI powered, right? People will start questioning the intent, the source, the capability a lot more. And that's going to be great because it helps us smarten up as individuals, professionals, buyers, consumers, and everything behind the scenes, right? So I think there will be a lot more sort of voice around AI. Let's keep our eyes and ears open on that space.
Amazing.
I agree.
Great
All
prediction.
right, Sam. Here I go. I'm going to ask you my favorite question that I love to ask in the podcast. What is one life philosophy you like to live by?
One life philosophy. Oh wow, that's a pretty interesting and deep question, right? I think, look, at the end of the day, for me, I've got my own value system which I want to live by, right? I think and that's important, who you are at work and who you are outside of work, there are certain values which kind of bind you, right? So for me, it is like, as long as you've given, again, I go back, you've given your best and you've been consistently disciplined in that, and you've done the right thing, right? I mean, often people talk about leaving legacies, and I mean, and there are people who have left, right? But as long as people say, hey, you know, I'll work with Sam, and geez, he did the right thing by me, and that's a great walk away from you, right? So doing the right thing by that right person, whether it's someone you meet down the road, whether it's you're at a supermarket and you're at the checkout counter and you say, hi, how's your day? Hello, how's it going? And sort of giving that mutual respect to someone as probably important as your customer, and giving them what they want, right? So for me, it's about doing the right thing and feeling the comfort that, hey, you did the right thing, right? Often, sometimes you do make mistakes, but if you realize that and you correct yourself, I think that's a good takeaway at the end of the day.
I love that. Beautiful. And lastly, Sam, what are you up to on the weekends where you're not working or traveling? Where can people find you? And if people are trying to connect with you, what's the best way of doing so?
Well, I mean, lately I've been traveling so much with work. I think, you could find me at Terminal 3 at the Dubai airport, right? So, in fact, even tonight I'm traveling. So, I could. But look, if it's not family time with the weekend, sometimes I like just to have a bit of downtime, go to the gym. I love my sport. So whenever I get the opportunity to follow sport with some of my best mates, I do that. I love a good home poker game. So I'm always up for that. Header, if you're feeling bored and
Yeah, I'm about to say, I'm not sure if you should invite me to that. I usually win those home poker games pretty often. So.
No, maybe an invite in the future. But
I appreciate that. Yes.
I mean, yeah, look, a little bit of self-care, relaxation, family time, bit of sport, right? Nothing outside the ordinary. But I think those are the moments you kind of appreciate as well. When you're doing nothing, you're like, wow, you know what? You need that. You need that R&R to recharge as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially as parents, we're all parents in the podcast. So as parents, you need a lot of downtime to be able to recover. And I also see that you are a Liverpool fan. So for anybody listening that is a Liverpool fan, Sammy is also a fan as well.
Yeah, you'll never walk alone.
I love that.
Looking at this year, see if you guys can maintain all the way through.
Can't complain this year, mate.
Awesome. Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure having you on and hearing all your perspectives and learnings. We look forward to connecting more down the line and having you back on the podcast and try to get a poker game in here or there as well.
Well, thank you guys. I mean, look, to be honest, time did really fly. Great conversation. Loved it. Thank you for hosting me, Heather and Ivy. You guys have been wonderful hosts as well. And with your expertise in the industry in Dubai, I think people should sort of leverage and access that availability and network as well. So, and I'll probably hit you up on that poker game, Heather. So absolutely. I want to see how much of a shark you are, mate.
We'll see. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take you up on that.
Excellent.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, folks. Cheers.
We want to thank our sponsors for supporting the Sussex Revenue Podcast. RevSetter is the #1 customer success and management platform in the Middle East region, offering global capabilities mixed with regional solutions that helps your CS, account management, and go-to-market teams 10x efficiency, improve customer experience, and turbocharge customer retention rates.
And thank you to Netlify, a leading marketplace for workers and employers in the healthcare space. Needs and demands meet to create benefits for both sides. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.